Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday and welcome to the APL Power Hour. I'm your host, Greg Bulmash, a solutions architect in Alexa developer education. And today we're going to spend the next few minutes talking about the Alexa presentation language, or APL. We've been doing this weekly since February, and I've got a couple of announcements. So let's go to our daily agenda. If you're on the stream, shout out and chat, say hello, let us know you're here. But we'll go through some of the housekeeping while we wait for people to join. Okay, let's switch to the second screen. So as we do every episode, we go to our agenda composed in Inkscape, which is what many of us use to edit SVGs, and which we can then import into our APL. And, you know, I really got to give a lot of credit to Alexander Martin of APL Ninja, who's made it as easy as dragging and dropping your SVG onto your project, which is really cool. So welcome. This is what we're doing. Good morning, A-Witters. So the announcement is this is our second to last weekly episode. Next week will be our final weekly episode starting in April. We're moving from weekly to monthly. This was an experiment to see how much work it was to do a more programmed weekly show as opposed to our weekly office hours, which is just sort of like, hey, we're here, ask us questions. We found out it's a lot of work. And if we really want to give you the best quality content, we need to sort of spread this out a little bit. So we're going to last Wednesday of the month, starting in April. So I believe that will be April 28th. Let me just check here. Yes, 31st is next week. Go down in the calendar. April 4th. Oh, fourth Wednesday in April will be the 28th. So we'll be on again next week on the 31st. And then we'll be moving to a monthly cadence on the last Wednesday. We're going to try and make it more like a meetup, get more guest speakers like last time when we had Ben from VoiceFlow. You know, really getting some great speakers in, some great guests in, some great content for you, so we can really, you know, do this up and make it worth your time. So that's what we'll be doing. Beyond that, we have two segments today. One, Get to Know A, where we'll go through a couple of things that are worth looking at, that were fun to investigate. And then we're going to do Let's Code a Soundbar, which is where we will take a very basic APL page that I've created that has a button you can click to make it play a sound, and we will update it to add some more sounds and some more functionality. And we'll do that live, which is always something that I really don't like, live coding, just because, you know, I never trust my memory. I'm always looking things up. I'm always sort of, am I understanding that right? And so, you know, I always feel sort of self-conscious when I'm live coding, but we're going to do it. Just hit my mic there. We're going to do the live coding. We're going to get it going. This should be fun. Then on top of it, let's go here. I just want to remind y'all, it's up here, right here in our lovely agenda. Let me put this right here for you. Morning, Hawk. So let me put this right here for you. If you have not signed up for our Alexa community Slack, please do at alexa.design/Slack. That's how you get yourself an invite. You can join the Slack. We have multiple channels, including a channel dedicated to APL. So it should be a lot of fun for you. You can ask questions about Alexa development, about APL, recruit beta testers, just commiserate and share experiences and be a part of the Alexa developer community. So we are done with the announcements. Let us close this down and we shall go here. And I am going to pull out this URL and I'll put it in here. It's a bit much to type, but I'm putting it in the chat here for you. And we'll open that up. And we will make this a little bigger so everybody can see it. And we're going to do get to know a documentation page. Love them or hate them, the documentation pages are your best source of information about Alexa presentation language and all the different things you can do with it. And for one thing, we have a number of responsive components to help you create responsive designs so your templates will fit multiple screens without a lot of fiddling, to make it easier so you're not having to redesign your APL page for every single screen. And a number of these components are like form elements, different things. So we're going to do get to know a radio button today, and we'll work with that code sample that's on this page. Then we're going to do a get to know a component by going to one of the great component demos by Frank Bornke. I hope I'm saying your name right, Frank. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Jeff Blankenberg is in the chat going, does anyone know who will be on the Voice Den tonight? Oh my goodness, I completely forgot. I will be one of the voice fluencers on the Voice Den. I was going to mention it when I got to the soundboard, because I actually did, my superhero name, my alias or whatever on the Voice Den tonight is going to be Greg the Announcer Bullmash. That I take that because when I was doing some live coding, I was doing a fight game and I did a bunch of announcer voiceovers, and it seemed to really entertain the people who were watching my live coding. And I've done, I did college radio. I've been an MC for both comedy and karaoke clubs. So it's just sort of what fits for me. But I did a couple of announcer intros for the Voice Den that we'll use in the soundboard later today. And that's voiceden.com, voiceden.com. It'll be at 4 p.m. Pacific today. So join us, have fun. It's like a happy hour for people who are interested in voice developing. It's run by Dr. Terry Fisher, who is one of our amazing Alexa champions. Really great guy, really wonderful person, and a great host. Great host. He brings wonderful energy and brings in some really good guests every month. And I don't know how he made the mistake of inviting me, but he did. I'm gonna do it. We'll see what happens, right? But we're going to talk about today. I'm going to take down the Slack thing, but if you're just joining us, the Alexa Developer Slack, where you can join other developers to talk about developing for Alexa, and we even have a special APL channel that you can join with that and talk to other developers about your successes, your challenges, whatever with APL. And we've got some really great community members who are really helpful. And some of our PMs and solutions architects drop in to answer questions or, just join in the chat as well. So I'm going to hide that now. And we're going to go deal with radio buttons. And if you know radio buttons, they're basically on or off. And quite often you can stack a few and make it so that one is, you can only choose one out of the group. And this is a standard HTML form element that you've seen all over the place. It's used quite often in surveys. So rank us on a scale from 1 to 10, and it's radio buttons where you pick one of the buttons next to 1 through 10. And whenever you pick one, anything that you picked before gets unpicked. So we'll go through this, and I am going to go to, it's funny. I like to promote our APL authoring tool, but it requires going into our developer console, logging in, getting your, getting into an actual skill, and then going to that in general, while APL Ninja is really, really super easy to just quickly start a document and try a few things out, and boom, you're there. This is one of the things I love about this. And this uses our open source view host that has been published. It works in the web. And we use it for a number of our projects as well. And we've open sourced it. And Alexander Martin saw that and he went, wow, maybe I could build an APL sharing site around this, like JS Fiddle or CodePen. And he built a really amazing site. And I love this. And I cannot stop promoting it because it's just so good and so cool. So there we go. So we've got a brand new document started, and we'll come down here into our Alexa radio button. Now you notice that we have a number of parameters and they're all listed here. One of the things that I really like to do when I'm trying to learn something or get inspired about something is to literally go through all the parameters and see if there's anything that just sparks for me. With this, there's not a whole lot for me. Your button color, button height, button width, theme type, accessibility, label entities. I love primary action. Ever since I got into buttons, primary action is really useful. And we will get into primary action in a bit with our soundboard. But we also have a whole lot of information that you can find out, for our components. They share a number of properties. One of them is the component state. You can get your checked state determines, you can set the checked component state, whether to show the component in the selected or not selected state. And these are various different things. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, you notice here, you see this, this is something that I'm not in love with about our docs. Because if you don't know that this is a clickable button and what you'll get with it, you don't know to do this, which gives you a full code sample that you can use, which gives you either a full or partial code sample. This is a partial that you can use, and you can even click a button to copy. But we're going to go farther down because there's a more extensive button demo here that we'll use. And this is a full demo. So we can actually copy this, go in here, Control A, Control V, paste it in. Now you see we're only getting this, and that's because this is a two-part demo. We have the example document for the Alexa radio button. Then we have the data sources for our Alexa radio buttons, which are going to help enumerate and set some values around the radio buttons that we're going to use. So let's grab that code. And then we'll go here to the date. Trying to remember. I haven't actually done this live yet, so we'll see. It's either going to go into the data or the sources. There we go. Now let's see. Could it go into the sources? I'm pretty sure it can't. So we go into our data, we put this in, it enumerates, it goes through, it iterates through the various options: large red example, disabled example, orange example, small example. And you see here are the different options. And you see how changing sets them. These are disabled. This is orange. And the thing is that red and orange are not required colors. As you can see here on the small radio button, if you don't set a color, it's going to default to this, which is a blue, I believe. Could be, I believe it's blue. I'm colorblind, so I don't see all colors perfectly. So yeah, I know this is red, and I know this is gray, and this is orange, but sometimes red looks like brown, green looks like yellow, pink looks like gray. It's just what I live with. Put that back. So I just wanted to show you that we do have a lot more code examples than you might think, but they're behind these radio buttons. And I'm definitely going to, see if we can get this made a bit more obvious, that you can click these, because some of these, like here, disabled radio buttons, it's not obvious when you're looking here that you can get that code. So I'm gonna talk to somebody about that. But it's really useful to come through, see what your options are, see what you can do with these, see what your here's a radio button group, and grouping is how you would set it up so that only one of the buttons could be checked. And this has some code that you don't need to press a button to see. It's straight out there. So this is very useful. So this was get to know a documentation page. Thank you. Would that pronunciation be Maya Abraxa or Maja Abraxa? Whichever it is, thank you for joining us. Thank you for saying it's the Alexa Blue. It probably is. Like I said, I am, I'm no good with colors. You know what? There's actually a theory that there are some women who are like super tasters for color. And because they have the extra color vision gene, sometimes when they have kids, especially male kids, what happens is one gene gets overexpressed and another one gets pushed down, which causes protanopia. And my mom used to be an interior designer at one time. She's got very good color vision, so I wouldn't be surprised. But that's another thing. Color vision and color blindness, and being color blindness friendly in your design. If you notice, like right here, we're doing a lot of stuff on a dark background, right? If this text here, let me just bring it in here. If this text were red instead of white, certain shades of red, it would barely stand out against this background. Always, when you're designing, especially on dark backgrounds, you want light colors. On light backgrounds, you want darker colors, because people like me need more contrast to be able to make out the actual words. So that's just my public service announcement for today. If you're designing, think about your colors and your contrast, because 8% of men have some level of color blindness. So 1 in 12 men and about 1 in 50 women have some level of color blindness based on current known statistics. So you're actually hitting anywhere from 4 to 5% of your audience, maybe more, who may find your content inaccessible if you're not using good contrast. So, get to know a document page. But now, I don't know if Frank Bornke is on, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. My last name is Bullmash. And ever since I was a kid, everybody's tried to think, oh man, that sounds way too pedestrian. Bull mash. No. Nobody would go with that. It's got to be something like bull mosh. And I've always had to correct people. Nope, just bull mash the way it's spelled, except we're missing an L. So my great grandfather came through Ellis Island, and he said whatever our last name was, and in Yiddish, Ukrainian, whatever language they were using, and agent at Ellis Island just went bull mash, and we've stuck with it. Let's see here. This is what I was going to do. We are bringing in this APL Ninja document. I'm going to leave this page. And this is the progress bar component, but this is something Frank Bornke did. Frank set it up so that the progress bar goes backwards. And the thing is that we'll go and look in the editor here. The progress bar is something you set the completion level of. So instead of counting forward and setting the completion level, Frank is simply counting backwards and setting the completion level. But one of the things that I think is cool, and you look here, let me see if I can make this a little bigger, because I want you to see this code. I want you to see this code here. So, we talk about responsive design, and sometimes you do have to do something a little bit different, especially when you're designing for the Echo Spot, because it's round and it's smaller. And, up here, Frank's bringing in the Alexa layouts and getting the various values. And then here, he's using the viewport profile information. So if we're getting a viewport profile of hub round small, then Frank, instead of using the line for this, is using a circular progress bar. And this is interesting because all he's having to do is use when viewport profile equals hub round small and changes a few things. But when it's not hub round small, he's doing a rectangular view. So that's pretty cool. He's only made two different designs, one for the rectangular view, one for the circular view, and just simply with viewport profile is or is not hub round small, setting this up. So this is a very interesting it's a very interesting demo that you can look at. And the great thing about APL.Ninja, like CodePen, like JS Fiddle, is that all this code is available to look at. I'm going to put the code for Frank's demo in there. I encourage you to copy it, bookmark it. Look at how Frank has done this. This is, it's not some amazingly complex demo. This is, boom, what? 127 lines of code, including a good amount of white space and nice formatting. But it really sort of does the job and shows, no blank lines at the end. I was just cutting them off because everything was so big. Let's make this smaller. We'll replay that. But you can see that it's not a super complex thing. We have our animation of the progress, and its total value minus the lapse time. And we have lapse time. Where are we setting that up? Maybe is that in it? Yeah, I'm always learning new things. This is what you got. This is where you're going with this. It's not hard to reproduce. It's easy to you can look at it and see a number of things. How to do a reverse countdown. You could be actually counting down with numbers rather than a progress bar. A whole different kind of thing. You can set, you could have your own timer skill. Alexa, set a timer for 30 seconds and actually have the 30 seconds count down. And I'm looking at all my devices in here because I have 4 different devices in here, all with their microphones turned off. 2 named Alexa, 2 named Echo. I'm just making sure that I'm not accidentally triggering any of them. So this is a pretty, I wanted to show off a demo from APL.Ninja, and for some reason, this really got to me. But now that we're done with Frank's demo, we are going to get into mine, which is, let's build a soundboard. Now, tomorrow, I will be doing an Alexa Tech Talk where I talk about creating buttons and making them work with both audio and touch commands, or clicks in this case, and how to make that work for both, and also how to use your buttons to cause things to happen in your APL document without having to send a whole new APL document, or how to send commands from your skill to cause things to happen in your APL document without having to send a whole new document. I call it an SPA in, SPA like feature in the video because, SPAs are swapping out a lot of content. They're basically making what it looks to be multi-page be one page, and it's just swapping stuff out. But swapping out little bits and pieces back in the day was dynamic HTML. And then once we added an AJAX to be able to communicate with a server and swap data in and out from a server, that was called AJAX, and now it's XHR. But that was Web 2.0. 2.0. I don't even know what version of web we're on right now. We're still on HTML5, but HTML5 is a living thing that grows. But being able to do this is, I decided to take the front page of that demo, which was just you click through to go see another page that we do all the magic on, but to show you the basics of this. And this page right here, Frank's was 112. This is 91 lines of code. And it's relatively simple. I'm setting up my APL. The background's dark blue. I'm using the Alexa layouts package, so I get the responsive components. I create a container. And then in that, I put in my items, a text item, another text item, audio button demo, click a button, and then another container, which I've got in a row with a wrap that I put my button in. This way I can put multiple buttons and they will wrap as a row. So if I put another button in, it will come back with that playing button. And so this should, if I click it, play a little audio clip I made last night. Everybody ready?
You're watching The Voice Den.
Yes. So, like I said, this afternoon, 4 p.m., approximately what, 9? So 2.5, 6.5 hours from now, I will be joining Dr. Terry Fisher and a number of voice fluencers to talk about the state and art and science of creating voice applications and voice user interfaces and just the voice technology in general. And it should be a lot of fun. And I am just going to doggy paddle my way in this deep pool of really great speakers that Terry's invited, and just enjoy it. It's like a happy hour. It's really social. It's a really good way to get to know other people who are into voice like you are, and hear from some people who are having some influence in voice. So we'll change that. Now the question is,
You're watching The Voice Den.
Now that it's done playing, can I?
You're watching The Voice Den.
So the first thing that I want to do, notice how it switches to playing when I'm done playing, when I start playing it. But then we lose, but then it just stays at playing. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set an action for this that will have it go back to play, have it go back to this state. We call it first demo. So we'll have it go back to first demo. Now, this is another part where we need to get into our video player documentation so we can see exactly how this works. So let me pull that up. Make this a little bigger so you can see it. Now, one of the things is you have handlers. So you have on end, on pause, on play, on time update, on track update. So you can set up these handlers the same way. Okay. There's another thing that I wanted to do. Just a second. So this is the way I code. So I've got my radio button. But here on the radio button, it's not talking about primary action or anything like that. You got to go up. You actually have to come down here, I believe. Components, base component properties, actionable component properties, touchable component properties. So we'll look at that and we'll look at actionable component properties. I've opened those in new windows here. So we have more on items. So in this, we have handler move. So this is an interesting thing because it's not showing us where we actually put these items. It doesn't show you an actual complete item. This is sort of frustrating, and we have gotten this. We're working on this. Actionable component properties. So this is why I don't like live coding, because this is something I haven't done before, and I'm doing it now. And so okay. So this is what I want to do. And this is the thing. See, the thing is, what I would hope okay, I'm going to come back to this next week because this is something I haven't done, and figuring it out live online is not always the best. So yeah, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you how to do this next week because I'm going to figure it out. It's one of these things where you really sort of have to, if you can't exactly figure it out, you experiment, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Probably tomorrow is experiment with where that goes, or maybe I'll go to our PMs and go explain this to me deeper. I'm lucky I have that, and I'm going to leverage that for you. It's not always the easiest thing to figure it out from the documentation because you don't have a complete code sample that really explains, okay, I want to set up an on this handler for this component. How do I do it? But we want to set up our on end handler for our video player that will then target our button to change its text back to its original text. And what we want to do is set up maybe a little, at least we can set this up because on our button, we have some options. This is a little difficult when it's this big, so you can see it. But we have our primary actions, which are we play the media and we set the value. And we can add on another set value here. So at least when it's playing, we'll get a change. And with this, what we're going to do is we're going to change this to a set value. And we'll just swap some stuff. Instead of the button text, I am going to change to green. Let's see if that works.
You're watching The Voice Den.
Okay. So if I go to my button component, I'm going to go back to these docs. At least here, like I was saying, you can look at your properties. That's the radio button. I am looking for, okay. Well, we'll go with our button. Who's got the button? Well, one of the things we can do here is we can change the button style. To ingress. That will change.
You're watching The Voice Den.
Okay, let's make sure what we got here. We've got button style, contained, outlined, ingress or egress. See what happens if we change it to egress.
You're watching The Voice Den. You're watching The Voice Den.
Outlined.
You're watching The Voice Den.
Now, this is interesting because if I do this, just a moment. I have done this before. So I'm going to go look at some code that I wrote a little while ago. But I'm going to look at it off screen because it's for tomorrow's Tech Talk. So I'm going to go look at that. I'm going to go look at my documents. Nope. That's exactly how I did it. Oh, that's why. No. Well, That's a bit interesting. What if I move it up here? And we're experimenting. This happens to everybody.
You're watching The Voice Den.
We've got this correct. You're going to do the set value is outlined. And I'll go here. So I'm just reading the documents here on colors. Let's see if we can do this. What if we change color background to, and then this would be, we'll go with at color green 800. See if that makes a difference.
You're watching The Voice Den.
Nope. So I'm going to save this as a public document, soundboard starter. It will show up here. I'm saving. Has it saved? Oh, it should have saved, and we'll go away from it now. And now if we go down here, thanks to Alexander for creating an APL Power Hour. What's a code? Let's look. APL Power Hour. So let's go to my documents. Ah, that's why. Apparently I've been logged out. Okay, we are having some real issues here because I'm not able to log back in. So let us end this now. It's been a sort of weird day. I've been doing some live coding. Yeah. I'm glad, that some of you aren't feeling too bad anymore. The thing is, I've been learning this as I've been going. It's a whole separate thing from just being able to develop skills, developing handlers, developing skills. The basic SDK, really fairly simple. And if you know your JavaScript, know your node, you can jump into that really well. Here it is its own specific language, its own specific way of doing things, and you're learning a whole new you're basically learning a whole new programming language. And so I'm on the ride with you. I have a few more. I'm lucky to have a few more resources to ask, but we do we do have we do have some good documentation. We have some documentation I'm trying to help our people make better. We've got some good stuff coming up in tomorrow's Tech Talk. I should find the link for that. Let's see here. Let me go to and go to LinkedIn. I've shared it on LinkedIn. I'm going to go look at my my activity, and I'll find that link. There we go. Yes. Yes. I'm going to share that link right now in chat. You want to go to the Tech Talk, see more about handling buttons, see more about addressing buttons from, addressing those button actions from your skills, and then using being able to send actions from your skills directly to the already loaded APL document so that you can change things in the document without having to refresh it. That's what we talk about. Also, how to set up your handlers so they're handling both a voice command or a touch action on the screen. And that's only about 20 minutes. I go through it pretty quickly, and we're going to have a new code sample available for you when that launches. And if you want to sign up for that live, go to this lovely link here. And you can sign up for that. It's tomorrow at 10 a.m. So in 24 hours and 7 minutes. And then what do we got? So 24 hours and 7 minutes. We have got my Tech Talk where we'll talk about handling buttons, handling the input coming from them in your skill handler code, and how to use your skill handler code to send information to a live APL doc and update that live APL doc without having to refresh it. So we'll be talking about that. It's good. It's about 20 minutes. I try and keep it short, and there will be a good code sample dropping with it that you'll be able to use. And then we've got, let's see, tonight at 4 p.m., which is now in about 6 hours and 6 minutes, I'll be on The Voice Den with Dr. Terry Fisher talking about voice. So this is, I really appreciate you all hanging out. Sorry I was not able to do as much as I wanted to do. I like to prep more with my code so I look like I know what I'm doing and that I can explain the docs. And I promise you, when we come back next week, we're going to have a working soundboard. We're going to have working stuff going forward, making those buttons change more, making them change back when the sound's done playing, and adding additional sounds. And we'll look at how that works. So from me, from our whole Alexa team, from everybody, thank you for joining. Please go to alexa.design/Slack. Join our Alexa community Slack. Check in with us in general. Say hi, introduce yourself. Come to the APL channel there. Say hi to us. Share your coding questions, share your coding successes, recruit beta testers, have fun, be part of the community. And I'll be there ready to talk to people a little less and look a little more prepared because you don't see me looking things up for the next half hour. So join us there, and we'll see you next week for our last weekly episode of the Power Hour. And then starting in April, fourth Wednesdays on April 28th and beyond, the Power Hour goes monthly with better, more planned out content, more guests, more cool stuff. So thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.